Good morning. Happy Memorial Day, everybody. This week stuff is going to be a little bit different around here for a couple of reasons. One, today is holiday, so I'm not doing a whole lot today. I'm going to get that starter out of this boat, or attempt to, and see, and hopefully I don't have to pull the whole engine to change the starter, but I don't know. I'm going to start working on that a little bit. Dad is getting the sprayer ready. He's going to spray the second shot of nitrogen on the wheat this morning. There's a chance of rain this afternoon and really every day this week. So that needs to be done. We want to get that done now, and we should be able to make it through the wheat just fine. And then the other thing, yeah, so towards the end of the week, I don't know how my videos are going to go or if I'll be making money. I had an uncle that had a heart attack and died on Saturday, and he was only 50, so it was pretty tough for everybody, and so we've got to deal with that this week, and so yeah, that may put the videos on hold a little bit, so I hope you guys understand, and we'll get back to normal here eventually, but I don't know, I'll film a little bit of me working on this boat here today and see what else is going on. I got to mow lawn out here, so not a lot. It may not come out till tomorrow or, yeah, Wednesday morning. But we'll do what we can, and we'll see how the week goes. So, okay, back to this project. So the starter is way down underneath there. Fortunately, I have another engine over here that is the same setup. So I have a template that I can actually see. So clearly we've got the wire here, positive lead, that we got to get that off. And then I was looking at it, and I think, I don't know how well I can show this. See that? Those two bigger bolts through the engine block there? I think those are the only two bolts really holding that starter in place. The long ones that run the length of it, I think, are holding the starter together. So if I can get that electrical cord and those two nuts off, bolts, I don't know, yeah, bolts, I might be able to get it out of there. So we got to do it down in that hole, though. Okay, well, I was able to get the wire off, and I got my ratchet on that bolt, but I can't really turn it. I need more leverage, and I need a longer extension. I just brought a 1/4-inch ratchet because I didn't think it would be that hard, but I just can't get on it where I can move it very good down in there, and it's stuck underneath. So if I can get a 3/8 ratchet that's longer and an extension to get that ratchet out in here, I think I'll be able to get that out. This actually might not be as hard as it initially seemed, so I'm gonna run to the farm and get that stuff. Look at that. I did have to get a little screwdriver and put it in there and pry it out, but we got it. That took me like 15-20 minutes of actually working on this. Whew, glad I didn't try and pull the motor, because that would have taken 2 days. So I'm going to take this back to the shop, and we're going to put a electrical current to it, see if it runs. I'm guessing it won't, or maybe it will. I don't know. I'm pretty sure this is the problem, though. And then we're going to go see if we can get one. Okay, well, I put this on the bench, and I hooked up our little battery charger to it to see if it would turn, and it did, which makes me not so confident that it's my problem. But it also kicked out the battery charger that, I don't know, it was a 6 amp. I don't know how much this thing is supposed to draw. I don't know. I don't know if this is the problem now or not. So, yeah, we're going to see. I am going to take it to the local auto parts store, see if they can get me one, because they're local, and they could probably get it to me faster than if I order one online. But if they're going to charge me, like, $100 for one, then I'll order the $40 one online, and we'll call it good. But I'm going to go check, and while we're driving around, we're going to stop and look at some fields, because stuff's starting to dry up enough that we can walk in them at least, and let's see if some of these crops are starting to come up. So that's the plan here. All right, so we're going to start with this field. We actually have two separate fields here. This one was one of our very early planted fields, April 24, I believe it was. You can see it's drying off. We still got some wet dirt, damp on top, I guess, but the ground is firm. We can walk out here, and you can row the corn. That looks awesome. So I didn't bring a tape to do any stand counts and see how good of a stand that we've got, but it does not look too bad. You know, you look down the rows here, there's one missing there maybe. These two are a little close together. That should be over there, but not terrible. I don't know, we'll see. There may be some still coming through in some of them spots, but overall I'm really happy with that, especially considering this was one of our first planted real early fields. Looks good. Now we'll walk over here across the old fence row that got taken out to this other field, and this one was planted on Sunday, whatever the day was that week that we worked really and we got a lot done. And there was a lot of water standing out here. You can see the corn is up, but it's a lot smaller. I'll look it up there in a second what day this was planted. And actually it looks pretty good, but it is going to be a little bit more sporadic. So we come down to some spots over here where the water actually sat, and there's not much here yet. There's one coming. Down the row farther, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I can roll it once we get up on the little higher ground there. So it will be very interesting to see how much of this fills in, because this is not acceptable. There's one coming right there. I don't know. We'll have to watch it. That's why we got to see, you know, and a spot like this may need to get replanted, but it may fill in yet too. That water may have just delayed it a couple of days, so we'll see. May 3rd. This was planted on May 3rd. That one was planted on April 24. Oh man, you guys want to see something beautiful? Look at this field. This looks fantastic. Oh man. So this is the first field of beans that we planted. Remember we did it with the corn planter, 30-inch rows, April 23rd, and they look awesome. They've been through frost, they've been through a flood, and they're all here. Look down through this low ground. There was water in this whole area, water, and the beans are going all the way through it. That means we didn't lose anything here. That is awesome news. I was really worried about losing these pockets here where the water sat, and they're here. That's so good. So I'm right down in the bottom of the hole. In fact, the ground is still a little wet on top here. And you can see we definitely injured these beans. Cupped the leaves a little bit. They're a little bit farther behind. That one there is not going to make it. But these will survive and they will grow out of that. There won't be any trouble there. Now, when I walk up on the high ground over there, you'll see how much farther ahead those ones are. It's interesting, but they're alive. So now here's some. We were down there. Now we come up here. And these unifoliate leaves are just quite a bit bigger. And yeah, they look good. So I've kind of showed you guys this stuff before, but these little leaves underneath on the bottom here, those are the cotyledons. That's the seed that it kind of pushes up through the ground, and then they open up and become the first little leaves of the plant. And then these two unifoliate leaves come out, where they're single individual leaves, one on each side. And then right in there, you can see the growing point, and those are the next set of leaves that are growing and getting ready to come out. And that's actually what we call a trifoliate. And I'll show you those when we can actually see some of them. But yeah, these beans look great. I'm really happy. I'm really happy with what our stand looks like here, with where the beans are at and how they're growing. So we'll see how things progress and everything. And the weather is nice now. It's warm. We're in the 80s. They're growing fast. It's good. Okay, here's another cornfield. This one was planted on May 4th, I believe. It's there. You can see it coming through. Most of the water is gone, although there's still some pockets in this field. So okay, here's a spot where the water sort of ran across it. It's drying out, and the corn is here, but it's a little thin. You know, like we've got a plant here, and then we've got a plant here. So I kind of wanted to dig and see where are the plants in the middle. And I Are they going to make it? There's one right there. It's still coming. Looks viable. It's not dark and mushy, so that's a good sign. So that one will probably come. I don't know if there was another one or if that was the only one in the middle here. I don't see anymore. That may have been the only one. But then there's another gap here. This one's coming, so that one will make it. It's just, it's not a horrible stand, but it's not real good. And yeah, he's right there. Some of these ones that are way behind, and that's not a really, that's not a good thing. Corn does not like competition. And when that plant comes up way behind its neighbors are already out competing it. So the two plants that came up pretty much together, and then the one in the middle that's coming up as the straggler and later, it'll never recover from that. And it may put on an ear, but it's going to be half size of the other ones, if it does at all. And it's just, they say you want all your corn to come up within, well, 48-hour window. Ideally it'd be like 24, but even a 48-hour window, all of it to emerge at the same time is acceptable, and we're not getting that. And I understand patches, you know, if it was the low ground where the water sat and all of it was coming up late in that area, but the higher ground all came up together, that's one thing. But when it's individual plants down the row, that's where they become competition for each other, and it effectively reduces your stand and your population. And then the corn doesn't compensate like beans does, so it's not a great situation, but it is what it is right now. We're gonna have to wait another couple of days, middle to the end of the week, and maybe we'll do some stand counts and see what we got out here, and hopefully it's acceptable. We've still got some water here along the river. That corn's toast. She ain't gonna make it. A little bit over here as well. It's gone down. Some of it'll make it. The stuff that's still underwater will not. It is what it is. Okay, I have bad news on my boat project. I took this starter in, and one, they couldn't find one to cross it, to order it. So if I need one, I'm gonna have to order it online. Fine, no big deal. But they did put it on their little starter test stand, and she seems to be running just fine, which means starter's not the problem. They also confirmed that if I could hear the relay click, it's not the relay. So he said, make sure the engine turns over. It might be waterlocked. That's a problem. So, I don't know yet, but I have a feeling I may have, gosh dang it, I may have more bigger problems than what I had initially thought. So the other possibility though is I believe that there's a Bendix in between the starter and the flywheel, that it engages the flywheel when the starter is engaged, and there is a possibility that that is locked up, and just that the starter was running, just not actually engaging the flywheel, which would not start the engine, obviously. So at this point, I'm kind of hoping that that's the problem. But I watched a YouTube video on how to change that. Pretty much involves pulling the motor, so not good. All right, I got the starter back on. It's down under there. I crawled myself into the engine compartment here. Oh, you can see that. Hold on, let me get some light. So down in the front, there's this flywheel cover. And over here on the side is where that starter engages, and I think there's a Bendix, like I said, in there. That may or may not be the problem. I was trying to decide whether that flywheel cover can come off where it sits or not. It's pretty tight, but I think I could probably do it. But I want to pull spark plugs, because if there's water in there, that's how we're going to find out, and that will tell me a lot. So I need a spark plug wrench or socket, but yeah, I'm going to pull them spark plugs off and see what they look like, and hope there's nothing in the engine, because if there's water in the engine, then that's a bad thing. But if I pull the spark plugs out and it turns over, I don't know. Starting point. This is kind of the same situation as with our tractors. I'm not a mechanic. I'm not a tractor mechanic. I'm not a boat mechanic. But I'm cheap, which means I don't want to hire somebody to do this, because I bet that cost me $1,000. I don't want to pay that. So I'm going to attempt to figure it out for myself. Take me a lot longer, and who knows whether I actually figure it out or not. Well, I mean, I will, but I know basically how this stuff works. So it's not the hardest thing to do it. It's just, it takes me a little longer. Well, on that one at least, it's just a little oily around the seal, but it looks dry inside. Sort of dirty, but dry. I'm gonna take the other two out and we'll see. Well, the other two look about the same. So I think that's a good thing. That means the engine's not full of water, because it would have been bad. So I haven't done anything with it since last year. So it would have frozen there and everything would probably be ruined. So yeah, that's good. I'm gonna try the starter again, see if it'll turn it over with no compression, no spark. I don't know. I doubt it, but it's worth a shot. No, we got nothing. All right. Well, I guess that probably means the next step is pulling that flywheel cover and seeing if we can't manually turn the engine. I wonder if I could turn the impeller somehow. I don't know. We got to try and get it turned over by hand manually, make sure everything's free and rotating. I'm narrowing it down to that Bendix on the starter. Well, I have made a little progress. Let me show you. So I decided to try and crawl in here and take the flywheel cover off, which I got. It's over here. There was this little oil pump on the end of it. I took that off first. Then I took this cover out of the way. And here's what I've learned. One, our engine, not locked up. She turns just fine. You can see the pistons going up and down. So that's a good thing. Also, this is that starter Bendix I was telling you about. And while I'm not 100% sure how it's supposed to work, it seems to be moving just fine. Nothing really looks wrong with that. So now I'm kind of lost as to what is the problem. Because if the motor turns and the starter Bendix isn't seized up, I'm almost back to my relay, but I don't understand why when I jump start it directly to it, it doesn't go. Is it possible it was just a background somewhere? Boy, that'd make you happy because it'd be easy, but like, why'd I go through all this if it was just a wire connection somewhere? Maybe it's these ground wires on the battery are corroded, not making a good connection. That seems a little far-fetched, but I'm a little lost. Okay, well, I got to think about this one a little bit. If anybody's got any ideas on what my problem might be, leave them in the comments. Hopefully I'll have this fixed before you see this, but I don't know. I'm a little lost because it doesn't seem to be a mechanical issue. I'm going to have to get my electrical tester out and start testing the electrical side of stuff and making sure that I'm getting power to my starter there. And it doesn't seem like it would be that relay. The starter tested fine. It ran fine when I put it on the bench. I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss. So, I don't know. I'm going to think about it a little bit. It's lunchtime. I'm going to go eat, and then I'm going to come back and mow my lawn, and we'll see what's going on after that. Okay, I am back from lunch. Got my lawn mowed, and I want to go check some fields and stuff, go see how the crops are coming. Jack is up, and he took my gator. So we're going to take this. I haven't rode this much for quite a while. We don't now that we have the gator, but let's take it. I guess the waterway we put in here can't keep up with 5 inches of rain. Appears we got some free sand though. Anybody need some? That's sandy sand, beach sand. Wow. Well, the sun has come out this afternoon. It's quite warm, mid-80s, and I swear you can see these things growing. They look really good. We've got some that are starting to open up here. We've got other ones that are like this, where they're just poking through and gonna pop out here pretty quick. Then you can see spots like this where the little bit of crust is lifting, and they're pushing it up. So they are coming pretty good. The ground's getting a little hard, but it's not terrible yet. A couple more days like this, and they'd struggle to push through it, but we are supposed to keep getting some rain and maybe a shower tonight yet, so not too worried about it. But yeah, there's more coming. Beans look good. We'll have to go check some of the low spots where the water's at. There's some more. I don't know if that one would make it or not. He's a little yellow. It's trying. Our ground's pretty hard to push that big seed head up through, so sometimes they don't make it, but they are coming and look good. There's a spot here where the water comes over onto us from across the neighbors, kind of runs through that low ground across and then across the fence row here. 2 years ago when we were tiling this, Dad dug a waterway along the property line here, cut through that ridge to try and get it to follow the edge of the field instead of doing that. It certainly helped, but apparently 5 inches is more than the capacity of this. Well, here's kind of the low spot where the water ponded. I don't know, can you guys see that line where the trash floated up? Kind of all the way around. Good news, we've got beans. They're breaking through almost just as good as where we were. That's awesome. They're a little bit farther behind, maybe, probably not a lot. But it does look like right down in the bottom where it's still wet on top. I don't know that those are gonna, there's some in there. That's really good news. I think our beans are gonna be pretty good. I don't know that we're gonna have much, if any, replant on beans. So that's unbelievable almost. Right over to there is the Four Corners Bridge where I flew the drone and took some of those drone pictures. I'm gonna drive back along the lane there and see some of those spots that were underwater there and what they look like, and then we've got corn on the other side of the river. We'll take a look at that. There's the last of the water on this farm, which is incredible. In a week that all this water has gotten away. It was, yeah, clear up there, and I know you can't see elevation very well, but I would say minimum 4 feet of water in that spot when it was full. Yeah. Now, the question is, are there going to be any beans? And I don't see any right here. There's some. So they're here. These ones may need a couple extra days, but even the ones that were underwater here are coming. And I don't know. Well, I'm sure that some of them are dead, but it's pretty small spot. It ain't a whole lot of acres there. I need over there, but that water's moving. I don't think I'm gonna risk it. This is kind of like the Oregon Trail. Do you ford the river, go around? I don't remember what all the options were. In real life, we go around. Well, here's the other side of the crossing. Look at the driftwood out in our field. Holy mackerel. Good news is the corn's coming. Unfortunately, we've still got some water out here, and that corn is not going to make it. We can row it going the other way, though. That's good. But yeah, looks like it's going to be a little soft and muddy out here. And we got a big rock we got to get. I think that floated up there too. Well, here on the high ground and a little bit sandier stuff, this corn looks really good. This was planted on Thursday that week. It would have been the 7th of May. We can row it. Looks pretty decent. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm back down to my seed warehouse here. I consulted with Jack about this boat a little bit since he's a mechanic, and he thinks that the contacts on the starter relay are bad. Like it's clicking and engaging, but the contacts aren't letting the current flow through it, which kind of sort of makes sense, but kind of not. So we're gonna have to do a little bit more testing and stuff and figuring, but I'm gonna let that project go for right now. I got to get that flywheel cover put back on before I do anything, and yeah, we'll be back to it at some point this week, I think. For now, since I just mowed my lawn and it was way taller than it should have been before I mowed it, we're gonna do a little lawn sweeping. And my mom wants to use it too down at her house, so got her hooked up. I'll do mine quick, take it down there, and she can mess with it on her lawn. So it's not really my whole lawn, it's mostly just this little area right here and that way. The stuff up by the road and on the other side and behind the barn isn't bad. And there's a reason for that. About, I don't know, 5-6 years ago when I was getting this lawn established, I was spreading some fertilizer. And I had bought myself a new little lawn fertilizer spreader. Well, apparently I didn't have her calibrated because I dumped a whole 50-pound bag of lawn fertilizer on a real small area here. It's grown really good ever since then. Yeah, but I can't hardly keep up with the mowing. And I make one round and my lawn sweeper's full. Great. Okay, I got done with my lawn and what I needed to do there. You guys want to see something really cool? I was looking at my plot, and in my plot, the bean plot, I did a seed treatment trial. This is cool. Check it out. So over here to the right, we have Golden Harvest 3088s treated with Cruiser Max with Vibrance with Saltro. Saltro is that new chemical that we use that controls sudden death syndrome in soybeans. Check it out. These beans look pretty good, right? Got nice green. I'll get out of your light so you can see. Nice green cotyledons. Unifoliate leaves are just starting to come out. They're coming up, look really good. Over here to my left, we have Golden Harvest 3088, same exact variety, treated with Cruiser Max Vibrance, same base treatment, but instead of the Saltro, these have Illevo. Illevo is a competitive product, also controls sudden death syndrome. It works. It's a good product. It's been the only one available in the industry for the last 2 or 3 years here that was really effective. There's other products out there, but it has a drawback. And that drawback is that it what they call the halo effect, or it basically burns the cotyledons. So look at this. See that? You see how these cotyledons are brown on all of these beans? That's from the Illevo. That's from the seed treatment. And they're almost all that way to a certain extent. This one's not bad, but it's there on the edges. This one's got it. These ones got it more so. That's fascinating. I've never planted any beans with Illevo on it or seen this, but it's there. Clear as night and day difference between the Saltro beans over here and the Illevo beans right there. That's awesome. That's why we do these trials, so we can get these side by sides and see that kind of stuff. I had heard that did that on those Illevo beans. I knew that was a thing, but this is the first time I've ever really seen it in person. So cool. We'll see if it translates to yield at the end of the year, but that's a good start, right? Better to have nice green healthy leaf tissue or cotyledons than to burn them off with your seed treatment right from the get-go. It's got to be a good thing. Just for good measure, because it's Memorial Day. Alright, well, I am starting to get sunburned, so it's time for me to go spend the rest of the day in the house in the air conditioning. Yeah, the beans look a lot better than I anticipated in the low ground and the wet spots. I think we're going to be good there. Corn, I still need to do some more check-in and see. It needs a couple more days to keep poking through. So, I don't know, we'll see. But it's not as bad as what we thought it might have been. So, anyway, I think I got enough video today that I'll actually post this tomorrow. And we'll probably shoot some more tomorrow, because I'll be working at least tomorrow and Wednesday. I don't know about Thursday and Friday just yet. So, Anyway, have a great night, everybody. Happy Memorial Day, and hope you had a great weekend. Hit the like and subscribe buttons for me, please. And leave me any questions and comments you got below. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.